Hello, my name is Michelle Y. Green, the author of the Willie Pearl historical fiction series based upon the life of my mother. In the previous installment, I read Chapter 2, which takes place the day after Thanksgiving. The very next day, the children from the coal camp would head down to the company store to see the toys revealed for that year's Christmas. And now a reading from Chapter 3. Willie Pearl sat by the upstairs window and watched the rain come down in gray streaks. Looking out across the holler, she followed the stream of thick black smoke curling upward from a neighbor's chimney. The trees had all thinned to show the top of the mountain ridge that rimmed the holler. The mountain formed a dark scallop across the dreary sky. In the next yard, chickens huddled inside a damp lean-to that served as a chicken coop. Wet clothes drooped on the clothesline, forgotten in the rain. Slowly, the unpaved streets turned to slippery clay. There would be no playing outside today, Willie Pearl thought wistfully, and no excuse to visit the storefront window. She made up her mind to content herself with her paper dolls. Willie Pearl reached under the high shelf and slid out a well-worn box tied with string. Inside were her paper friends, each one carefully cut out from last year's Sears Roebuck catalog. They were glued to cardboard with flour water paste. From the catalog, Willie Pearl could find just about any kind of dress she wanted. There were fancy dresses for a night at the opera and plainer ones for the church picnic. There were smartly tailored suits to wear to important town meetings and sundresses for outings at the beach. Willie Pearl enjoyed the make-believe adventures she shared with her paper dolls, and she always made sure Missy, her favorite, was dressed just right. "Now, Missy," Willie Pearl said aloud, "what shall we wear to the Christmas tea?" She and May Ella had been planning it for weeks. It was going to be a fancy tea party the day after Christmas. May Ella's Aunt Vera had given the girls permission to use the front room and her fine china cups, and Ma Rainey promised to save enough spice cakes from Christmas supper to serve their guests. There would be sugar water tea with carnation milk, pottage ham sandwiches on store-bought bread, and some of the blackberry jam that Susie May had put up last summer. May Ella and Willie Pearl had used their very best penmanship to write out the homemade invitations. Only a few special girls in their class would make the guest list. Today, Willie Pearl was pretending that Missy was one of the lucky ones. "My dear, none of your other dresses will do," Willie Pearl said, using her high society voice. "You need something extra special to wear." She flipped through the catalog. There were more holes than pages, but the new catalog was still a few months away. To Willie Pearl, the Sears Roebuck catalog was a grand wish book. It was filled with all sorts of treasures, more than she had ever seen in the company store. Twice a year the catalog came, but Willie Pearl couldn't ever remember Ma Rainey ordering from it, not even once. Everything the Mahone family had, from furniture to shoes to groceries, came from the company store. The Consolidated Coal Company gave each miner a script card that recorded how many tons of coal he loaded that week. In a good week, a real coal hog could load 60 tons or more and make as much as $24. On payday, the company took out for the school fund, electric light bill, insurance, and the burial fund, and what was left could be traded for goods at the company store. Feeding and clothing a large family was hard work, especially since Papa had missed so much last year. Ma helped out by cooking for some of the single men in the camp, and she took in sewing from time to time. At 14, Johnny was still a bit too young to work in the mines, but he pitched in with odd jobs as he could. Even Susie May, who had just turned 12, did laundry or housework for some of the neighbor ladies. Sometimes when the company struck a big vein of coal, Papa wouldn't come out of the mines for 7 or 8 days straight. He'd work day and night, stopping only long enough to send out his lunch bucket by Mr. Jack. Even then, their bill grew and grew at the company store, and there was never enough script to trade for any extras. "Seems like I'm digging a deeper hole at the company store than I am in the mine," Papa had said more than once. Willie Pearl stopped turning pages for a moment and she sighed. She thought about how hard everyone had to work just to make ends meet. Suddenly, the thought of owning Mandy seemed as make-believe as one of her paper doll adventures. A knock at the bedroom door brought Willie Pearl back from her thoughts. It was Mayella. "Aunt Vera said I could come and play a spell," Mayella said, her reddish hair frizzy from the rain. Willie Pearl was glad to see her. She gathered her paper dolls one by one and began gently placing them back into the box. "I was just thinking about the Christmas tea," Willie Pearl said. "We haven't got a lot of time left, you know." "I know," said Mayella. "I've been thinking about it too. I have a mind to make it a mother-daughter tea. That way we can bring all our baby dolls and play after." Mayella's words stung like thistles. Mayella knew full well that Willie Pearl did not own a baby doll. In fact, except for the doll she sometimes made from corn cobs or twisted pine needles, Willie Pearl had never had a doll of her own. In a flash, she thought of all the dolls Mayella had in her room. She had rag dolls, rubber dolls, and stuffed animals, to say nothing of the beautiful china doll she had gotten just last year. To think, Mayella had not even taken the time to name them all. "But Mayella," Willie Pearl said, feeling the heat rise to her dark cheeks, "you know I don't have a baby doll." "Well," Mayella started slowly, "I suppose I could let you borrow one of mine." It was clear Mayella had already made up her mind. "Borrow? But all the other girls, it wouldn't be the same," Willie Pearl said. She began twisting the end of one braid the way she did when the teacher called on her in class unexpectedly. "Well, what if I gave you one of mine for keeps?" said Mayella, in a matter-of-fact voice. "I'll even let you pick." "Oh, no," Willie Pearl stuttered. She knew how Papa and Ma Rainey felt about her taking charity from anyone. It wouldn't be right to just take one of yours." Willie Pearl thought how wonderful it would be if Mandy could come to the party. She'd be the most beautiful one there, the center of attention. Her blue satin dress would be just perfect. And wouldn't all the other girls be surprised? Mayella interrupted her thoughts. "What if you traded me for something, like they do at the company store?" Mayella asked. Mayella wanted dolls at the tea party and was willing to do anything to have her own way. That way it would be fair. You would have your own doll to bring and everything would be just perfect. Willie Pearl thought for a moment. After all, it was Mayella's idea to have a tea party, and the thought of having a doll of her own, any doll, was too much of a temptation. "Well," Willie Pearl began, hesitating a bit, "what could I possibly trade that you would be interested in?" "How about those?" Mayella said, pointing down to the box wrapped in twine. "My paper dolls? All of them?" Willie Pearl was surprised. In all the times they had played together, Mayella had never shown the slightest bit of interest in the fragile bits of paper, each lovingly cut out by hand. "Why not?" shot back Mayella. "After all, I am letting you choose any doll you want. I think it's only fair that you let me pick what I want." Willie Pearl thought of the many hours of private fun she had enjoyed with Missy. True, she could make others, but... "I haven't got all day, said Mayella impatiently. We still have a lot to do to get ready for the tea. Okay, said Willie Pearl, reluctantly handing over the box. But don't let them get wet on the way home, and promise me you'll take good care of them. Willie Pearl gently handed the box over to Mayella, as if it contained tiny bits of precious glass instead of paper. This will be just between us, won't it? Willie Pearl asked. Even though it was a fair trade, Willie Pearl still was not sure how Papa and Ma Rainey would feel about it. Cross my heart, Mayella said, tossing the box over near her soggy coat. Now let's go over the guest list one more time. And that's where we stop. Happy holidays. If you'd like to hear more about my readings and my writings, visit www.michelleygreen.com. That's www.michelle, middle initial Y, green, green.com. This podcast has been brought to you by the Museum of American Military Family and Learning Center. This amazing museum is located right outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico. To learn more, visit www.militaryfamilymuseum.org. That's www.militaryfamilymuseum.org. And please follow them on Facebook. Happy holidays.